markets, that's where you can do disruption, right? The taxi business was stagnant. That's why Uber was successful there. Let's just think about those fragmented markets. The food market is the most fragmented of all. Look, Walmart's the big player. We all know that. They're the gorilla in the room, but they only have about 17 or 18% of the market. That's why Amazon got in. It's fragmented, right? And I will guarantee you Amazon does have the boys in Bentonville's attention, right? And Amazon's going to learn a lot. They're going to find out about perishable. They don't know a lot about perishable. They're going to learn about perishable. And they're going to learn about food safety. And they're going to learn about microbes. They're going to learn about quality. And they're going to learn about the fact that you can talk about how beautiful it is, but if there is a wormhole in that natural apple, they don't want it. So there's going to be a lot of education go on here. But that's why Amazon got in. Now here's our magic in all of this. This is our opportunity. Right? You've all heard about, you know, the company's Memphis Meats, right? The make it in a petri dish meat company. Okay? Okay. Interesting? Yeah, it's interesting. Long term, 150 years from now, is it potentially valuable? Might be. A lot of people in the world who are protein deficient. But if American consumers don't want GMO corn, they're going to want petri dish beef. They don't really scare me. I'm interested in them, but they don't really freak me out because I think we have the magic. The magic is to connect people's heads and their hearts. And you know what in truth is? People want to know who does raise their food. And you know what they really want? By and large, they still want it to be you. They want to trust you. They want to know what you do, and they want to understand it at some level, but they really want you. There's really very little evidence that that's not true. Yeah, the activists, yeah, but you know, that's noise, right? It's like over-listening to a teenage son at 17, right? You can over-listen to that, right? But this is not easy for us, right? Especially the guys in the room. This is not our strength, right? Warm and fuzzy, I mean, if we got all of us together and we said, okay, let's pick one warm and fuzzy guy to go talk to the ladies, we might not send anyone because none of us would want to be that guy. Which is why it's even more important that we have women heavily involved in the leadership of our business because they get it, right? This trust equation, this is where the market is headed in the world of food. Trust, 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 trust. So here's the takeaway message. In an increasingly crowded, noisy global marketplace, innovation is not optional. We cannot sit on our laurels. We cannot look backwards. We must look forwards. And we got to figure out how to grab what we need out of this emerging world of technology. And we don't want it all because some of it's going to be junk. Some of it's junk, right? I mean, there's a million apps you can get on your phone. Right? A lot of it's just stuff. So how do we sort it out? It comes down to this. This is what we've learned so far in the Engler program and really it's all about making things simple. So this is business, right? The business school at Nebraska doesn't like me because I say, look, here's an MBA in one slide. Okay? Business relevancy is about front of house activities and back of house activities. Front of house activities is relationships, back of house activities is processes. If you're good at processes and relationships, you're going to be good in business. Period. It's never not been true. Where did I learn it? From my grandmother who ran a really great restaurant. She kept my grandfather in the kitchen. He was not a front of house guy. He was a damn good cook. He could organize a kitchen really, really well, but he was about as friendly as a bear. Right? My grandmother, on the other hand, was awesome with people. Awesome. They made a great team. So I will tell you, I wasn't going to tell you what to do with your ranches, but I will give you some questions to take home and mess with in your head. How are you going to become more entrepreneurial? How are you going to find opportunities, like some of these things we talked about? So I would ask a couple of quick questions. Number one, if your organization restructured tomorrow and they fired you, what would you do? If your organization restructured, and I've thought about this a little bit because my brothers have enough votes to get rid of me if they wanted to, right? What would we do? And you want to ask yourself the question, do you have a brand that somebody else would want? Does your skill set give you a competitive advantage? Who would testify to your skills and abilities? Do you have what it takes to launch something competitive that's new? Does your current work warrant local, regional, national, or international attention? These are important questions for everybody, right? I make my 20-year-old sons answer this all the time, right? I'm even working with my 5-year-olds. We're a funny family. I have a 26-year-old son. I have 23-year-old twin boys who are grown up, and we have 5-year-old twins because God has a sense of humor. Do you have potential partners? This is a big one for us, right? Do we have potential partners? Then the next question that's worth asking, because, being thrown out, probably not. So then let's ask this one, because we can ask this one in harmony with our family and with the people that we work with. What would it be like to build the best company in the world that does what we do? And I think that's what's been going on in this company for a long time. I think Minnie Lou and Mary Lou and James have been trying to do that. I really think they've been trying to do that. I think that's a good question. And it's not arrogant. It's not an arrogant question. It's not a question designed to make you silly. It's a question designed to make you better. Right? What would it be like to build the best company in the world if we started from scratch? This is the one I love. And we ask this at our ranch all the time. Okay, if we had this land base in our current economic conditions, what would we do if we had no history here? If we were the founders, the pioneers, what the heck would we do? So these are worth asking questions about. It's going to require trade-offs. All this change, there's trade-offs. But the trade-offs are bad because you know how to make them. You're better at that than anybody in the corporate world. All of you are already better at that. Because you have to do it every day. There's more than one way to climb the wall. Really important to remember. The question matters more than the answer. There are two things about leadership I want you to remember. How will I lead? Do I have the courage to question the assumptions that I've lived with for a long time? It's hard. Am I willing to embrace the unknown? Certainty is easier. Unknown is hard. And am I willing to unleash creativity? Am I willing, right? When I was flying in here from last night, there was a very clearly a rough, tough cowboy sitting in the seat up about 2 from me, and he had his device out, and he was coloring a fish. But it was cool. And I watched him for at least an hour, right? Which means I'm apparently I'm a stalker. That's, well, exactly, right? In this case, that'd be exactly correct, right? I'm sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. But it was fascinating, right? Watching this guy that I looked at him, I thought, well, this isn't a creative person. When he was done, I'm like, I wanted to buy it, right? It was cool. Then what can I learn from Lewis and Clark? Okay, it happened further north of here. Maybe it's substitute Charlie Goodnight. I don't care either way. They embraced the unknown, didn't they? Big time. They had no idea. No map. They had to go. They had 2 women, actually, before it was over. You are exactly right. You are exactly right. And you know what they did at the end of that expedition? This is the crazy thing. At the end of that expedition, they got out to the Pacific Ocean, and they had to spend one more winter. And Lewis and Clark could have used command and control, but they didn't. They got the entire party together. And in that party was a Shoshone woman, and there was a freed black man. And they had a vote. And everybody voted. With all this high-tech stuff. But we learned three really important things that's going on inside the valley, things that I did not expect to find. Number one, in entrepreneurship, you figure out what ball you're chasing and you chase it, right? You figure out the ball and you go after that ball. And you chase it until you know it's the wrong ball. Look forward. That's the thing they're good at. They look forward. They're very hopeful. They're very, very forward thinking. And here's the thing I wasn't prepared for. Many of them look up to God for their guidance. That was my greatest fear out there. Was I thought, oh man, here I go with all these believing kids. And I'm going to put them in a place where there's no believers. How are we going to do? And yeah, we ran into some non-believers. But we ran in mostly to people who knew that it was more than them making it work. I think we have this huge opportunity. This business that we do, this work we do, not to keep it the way it's always been, but to morph it, to change it, to invite the next generation to the table. The youngest, brightest, the daughter-in-laws, the son-in-laws, to diversify how we go at things, but at the very heart, to do it in the way that our forefathers did, and that was to build communities. Build communities that mattered, so that democracy could live, so that people could be free, and so that hope could survive. And Mrs. Bradley, you taught me that when I was very young, and I'm so very thankful to have known you most of my life. Thank you.
Wow, that's pretty hard to follow. Hopefully you understand a little bit about why he was here tonight and kind of how we look at the world and think of things around here. And hopefully you'll see some of that in